Sani Bonani. Hello, everybody. It is your girl once again, Unompumelelo Success Wagamashini, also known as Mpumses of the Masipumelelo movement. And this is me welcoming you back again to the Masipumelelo movement YouTube channel. Welcome, guys. This is me being back again with part 2 of the story time. If you don't know what story time I'm referring to, or you're not sure about part 1, you can check it out on my channel. You can actually watch the first 2 videos that I posted so that you are not lost, because I love you very much. I have to keep you informed. I have to give you a light in terms of what's going on. So if you want to know which continuation this video is, it is a continuation of the story time part 1 video. So without further ado, let's get into this video.
Believe you can, and you will. Success is the best revenge.
Okay, so you guys, in today's video I am now going to share the part of what happened post high school, continuing from the previous video. So you know about all the things I shared in terms of my experience as to trying to find, you know, the proper thing to do, the proper school to go to, etc. So yeah, I got a call from CPUT. It was random. It was very random, like I said, because I didn't even know that I applied there, and they said I must come and register. Okay, and I literally had 3 days to plan to go to Cape Town without even knowing that I was going there. So it was hectic. I had no one to go with me. I remember my mom had deadlines in that week. She was submitting something Monday a corner, and but we on the Monday we literally had to be in Cape Town. And it was actually supposed to be Monday morning at around like 8 o'clock or so. So it was a stressful thing. I remember I was very frustrated because, remember, my mom had said, because this opportunity has come your way, you know, take it and grab it. So personally, I didn't want to go to Cape Town. I was not prepared for it, and like I previously shared, that I don't cope well with change, so I was really grumpy. So I tell my mom that I don't want to go, and then she convinces me. She said, okay, you know what, go to Cape Town and register, and then we'll go and register you and then come back, and then you will get the rest of your stuff, and also we'll wait to hear if you hear from the rest of the schools. If then they take you, then you're not gonna go back to Cape Town, you're gonna stay here, and then you're gonna study here. Okay, so cool. I'm convinced. I packed literally like a small bag with like things for like travel and coming back for that weekend, you know, for that week, because we were registering, I think it was the 19th of February when we had to, of January when we registered, but we were starting school only a month later, so in February. So it was really chilled vibes. Like, it was just like, you're gonna come back and then you're gonna go back to school in time for you to go and like learn and go to class or go for orientation. So that was the arrangement, okay? But now I struggled. I remember I went to go to Computer Kit my first time ever. Going to Computer Kit trying to buy or book a ticket for myself. Remember, I've been a child all along. You know, now I have two adults. And when I got to Computer Kit, buses were sold out. The bus that was remaining only had one seat, and I was really not in the mood to go to Cape Town alone. I mean, it's Cape Town. It's the mother city, and I'm leaving Joburg. I've never even been to Joburg CBD alone. Now I have to travel like for over sort of in 12 hours by bus. I think by bus it was like 18 plus alone, and be in a big city alone. So my mom also was not ready for me to do that, but I was also not ready. But because I got so frustrated, I remember I was so angry. I said to her, you know what, it's fine, I'll go alone, because my mom had deadlines, like I said, she was working on, and she was really not in a space to like help me at the time. So I like guys, I was like, you know what, it's fine, I'll just go alone, you know. And my mom was like, no, stop throwing tantrums, just pack your bags, we'll go to the park station, then maybe hopefully we'll find a bus there. We go to park station. When we get there, there are no buses. And Mnashem, personally, something that I can tell you is that parents can be deceitful, Esana. Because like I said, when my mom said pack your bags, I literally like took like you need like a small cute overnight bag, you know, because I'm thinking I'm coming back. And then this person is saying you're coming back, but busy behind me. I'm just packing like the 2 things that I'm taking, like barely even taking toiletries, nothing. And then she's behind me just like packing toiletries, taking duvets and pillows and plates, and I'm like, but I'm coming back, why are you busy taking these things? And I kept saying to her, but like why are you taking, you know, all these things? And then she says, no, you know, you never know, just in case, blah blah blah. And then I'm just like, this woman, and I'm crying. Like, guys, you know what, it's as good as my mom had to drag me out of the house that day. Like, she was just like, come, because like I'm like like it was an emotional moment for me, guys. It was scary, okay? It was, you know, so when people, I think, hear the story, or maybe when they look back at it, or maybe for everyone else, you know, things are always as easy as you pack and go. But for me, it wasn't. Like, for me, I was just like, I'm leaving my friends, I'm leaving my family, I'm leaving my home, I'm leaving my life, I'm leaving like myself, everything I know, and just to embark on a new city with new people, doing something totally new at a totally new place. It was a lot to deal with, okay? But at that time, I don't even think I was thinking it that way. At that time, I was just scared, and I really did not want to go. I really wanted to study at UJ, and that was what was embedded in my head. I remember I have a friend who wanted to go study medicine at UCT, or just whatever she wanted to study. She wanted to do it at UCT, and I used to judge her so much. I used to say, girl, better you than me, like, you going. So we went through high school, especially from grade 11, because that's when we applied. You know, going through high school, we just knew, okay, you're going to Cape Town next year and I'm remaining in Joburg. And then things just, they literally in the end were the other way around. So I really was not prepared for it. I was so sure. But funny enough, I applied. But it's that thing of where people say, no, apply, even if it's in Pumalanga, even if it's in KZN, wherever, when there's something, you know, apply, blah blah blah, because you don't know, you know, what opportunity is going to come by. And you know what, I think that is something that I would totally agree with, and I would totally advise students and learners in school to actually take that advice seriously, to say, you know what, regardless, apply in that, because you really don't know where the door is going to open. You really don't know, you know, what you are destined for. You really don't know what lessons there are from, you know, life that you're gonna need to learn. So just knock on each door, and then whichever one opens, of course, you have to, you know, pray about it, be sure of it, you know, just meditate upon it. But at the end of the day, do go in if it's something that you see it's fit for you, it's healthy for you, and could take you to greater heights, you know. Because I know that sometimes the opportunities that we yearn for don't always come to us in the way that we expected, you know, that they're going to come. Sometimes something happens to you and you think, oh my gosh, you know, you regret it, you sad, you mad, it's for your own good, you know. So that's what I would advise other students to do as well, to just say, don't limit yourself to say I never it and nowhere else, you know. Just open up your mind. And I think I would really like to also encourage students, you know, and learners to say, go as far as also applying to places that are outside of our country. You know, it doesn't have to be only universities in South Africa, because I think we just limit ourselves to saying, okay, no, I'll go to CUT, I'll go to UP, I'll go to. Why are we not thinking Harvard? Why are we not thinking Oxford? You know, because for me, I think I never even I thought that those were dreams for me to dream. You know, I was just limiting myself to what I knew and where or how far I could get. But I mean, who am I to just choose that for myself and be enough with it? Why can't I dream bigger? You know, why can't I dream for more? Okay, this is a story time, but I'm already trying to be a motivational speaker. But I'm sure you get the point of what I'm trying to say. Okay. And I'm really derailing now. But before I tell the rest of my story, I think the other advice that so the first advice is the one I gave, and the second one that I want to learners to come out of this, you know, having learned, is in terms of accommodation as well, in terms of rates. Because I remember for me, I had like a standard, like a set, you know, procedure on how to apply. I already knew where to say yes, I already knew where to say no. And because my mom was helping me apply, and I was asking her a lot into like for guidance, you know, so she would say to me, no, I don't want you to go live far away from home. Ironic, right? So she'd say, no, I don't want you to go live far away from home, so you're gonna stay here in our house, we're not gonna pay for raise, and then you're gonna travel. I'm gonna get you a car, or you're gonna use one of the cars here at home, or a taxi or whatever, but you're gonna travel. So don't apply for raise, because raise is expensive. It's what makes fees expensive. So that's the advice I got from her. So when I was applying, even when I was applying in Cape Town, I would say no, you know, I'm not getting raise, because I'd even ask her and say, but then what if I'm gonna stay and study in Pretoria? Like, what if I'm accepted by UP or TUT, or, you know, I think I wasn't considering Cape Town, but I think I even asked her to say, okay, but this is a Cape Town one that I'm doing, the one when I thought I was doing the one for UCT. Should I still say no to accommodation? And she said yes. And then I said, but then what am I gonna do? Because that's far. And then she said, you're gonna look for flats. Renting is easier sometimes, because then you can find something that's within your range and then stay there, type of thing. So I settled with that, and I said, so for all my applications, when they'd say, are you looking for accommodation or would you like residence, I'd say no. And then the second one I'd advise you to not do is to not say no to financial aid also. Like, so for instance, if they say, are you gonna require financial aid, and maybe if your parents feel that, okay, they will be able to cover your fees, you know, or like whatever the case is, or maybe there's a bursary you're hoping to get, or you are hopeful, you know, you're gonna ace this distinction, so you're not gonna use NSFAS that you're gonna need to pay back later. You're just gonna look for a bursary that's just gonna pay and cover everything, and that's good. It's good to have those ambitions, it's good to have those plans in place. Would never encourage discourage that. But also, when you apply, just don't say no, you know, just leave those, like I said, leave those doors of those opportunities open, you know. And then when it so works out with whatever goal or dream or plan that you had from the beginning, then it's fine, you can go with that. There's no harm done, you know. Someone else will still take that accommodation or that financial aid. But now if you find yourself that maybe things did not work out the way that they would, then at least you have a backup to say, you said no. And when I carry on with my story, you'll understand why I'm giving you this advice. But though maybe I might not stay in it a lot, but I guess you will have an idea of why I'm giving you this advice. So when we get to the park station, there's literally just one ticket, like the buses are fully booked. Like, Pella, we want to leave now. And remember that most people pre-book their buses, I guess. So that's the issue we had. So my mom was like, no, I'm not comfortable with you leaving alone. I really want to go with you, so let's find a different plan. And then we actually looked around there, and then we were advised by a lady at the bus station who was so kind to say, go try out a taxi, you know, if you guys, it's an emergency, you can't leave tomorrow or whatever, then go. There are taxis that go to Cape Town and they are still there. I think this was around 3 in the afternoon on a Sunday. And then we looked around, and then we found a taxi. Fortunately for us, in front of us there was a CIA that left, so we were the first ones, I think, to get into an Iveco. When we get into the Iveco, you know how I said something like people from church are just like a blessing in disguise all the time where I go, especially in those situations where I find myself kind of lost, you know, and confused as to where do I go, what do I do. So when I got into that taxi, you know, my mom and I just casually, obviously just getting in, we sit at the back seat type of thing, and then a guy in the taxi is staring at me. So I'm like, you know, like what, you know, but not in a bad way. I'm just like, I can see that this guy is staring at me, but I'm trying to not. But get, you know, fortunately for me, this guy was not those like very, like, he was outspoken. He was not very, like, very much of those, like a person that would, for instance, stare at me the whole time without telling me what's wrong. He said to me, I know you, you know, from somewhere. And then I'm like, unfortunately for me, I don't know the guy. Okay, so I'm like, from where, you know? And then he says, from church. You sing with a certain group at church that I love so much. Okay, and then those who know. And then I say, oh yeah, I did sing with that group. And then he said, oh yeah, no, I love your you know, your group so much, where are you going? I say, I'm going to school, looking for school, first year varsity. He says, where? I say, CPUT. He's like, that's exactly where I'm headed. Like, I'm doing my master's degree at CPUT, so that's fine, I got you, I'll show you around, you know, type of thing. Okay, now I'm cool. So now, at least in the car, we're talking, you know, about him. We're talking to him, my mom and I, you know, we have, you know, a fellow Christian with us, fellow SDA, who we're just, you know, sharing things, sharing food on the way and whatever. My mom and I ate on the trip, you know, and not the 8 that, like, we ate, like 8 plus 8 8. We ate food. Like, I think we were stress eating at each stop where the bus or the taxi would stop. We would literally get off and buy something, you know. And also, I don't know why we trusted ourselves so much, because we were not even sure of the, like, what exactly happens in these rides. Okay, but at some shop, I think we stayed for too long. They almost left us behind, because we were just chilling, eating fish and chips, and then they were like, hey, this is on Shia, you know. But luckily for us, because we had someone who knew us, was like, let me call them, type of thing. And then he got off, he called us, said, hey, Nyasala. And, you know, we were still in line to buy something else, I think, and then we rushed, we just left that, and we got into the taxi. And then most of that was fun. We were laughing, you know, we were eating. In the middle of the night, at I think around 3 a.m, the driver stopped the taxi right there at the freeway. He got out without even telling us what was up, and then he just knelt in the middle of the road at the freeway, and he just started praying. And we were like, oh, okay. And I'm not laughing at, you know, another person's religion or whatever. It's just that obviously it will take you by surprise as to, oh, okay. And when we looked, he was wearing a badge, so we understood. Also, those who know. So and then he got back in and we left. So that was just one of the, you know, interesting things about the story. And then in the morning, just about to 8, you know, we were getting off. I think I arrived a bit late. I think I was supposed to be there at around 8 o'clock. I remember I got there late-ish, man, because firstly, I was not sure where to go. I first stood at the line, then they said, and you know the line thing, and then when you're in the queue, they said, no, you're supposed to go there first, register first, and then come back with your whatever, your forms, and then you can come back and pay here for your registration fees, and then from there you go to the so because we don't know all the procedures, we were just getting lost around the campus. We have suitcases and blankets and all of that. It was crazy. So we finally found the my lecture room that was gonna be like my forever lecture room, not forever, for the rest of first year. And then we found one of the, you know, the ladies that was helping us with registration. Then she says, you're late, but okay, who are you? And then whatever, okay, this is what you need to do, this is where you need to go. She also takes me through another process, and you know how it gets in those times. Network was an issue. It was taking forever to register online, because you have to be there to register, but you have to be there for them to help you to register online. It was just a whole thing, you know, because it was something, honestly, when I think back at it now, that I could have just done at home and register online, but they needed me to be there, and it was just a long story. But anyway, at the end of that, I went, I registered, and we were done. And then from there, they said that I must go stand in the res line. But now remember, I said no to res. So when I get there, they say to me, I tell my mom, I'm like, you know, I didn't apply for res, and now I need res, you know, because where am I gonna stay at? Where am I gonna find a flat? Where am I gonna, you know, type of thing. And then the res issue was just such a huge issue. But basically, I had to beg for res, and I was even told to that everyone else that had applied for res was gonna first have to get a room, and then I'm gonna be the last. But now it's an issue because I don't have anywhere to sleep tonight. I haven't booked anything. I just arrived here. I'm not even from around here. We don't have family. We don't have friends that we know from this side. So we tell this issue to this SRC member, who then was so kind enough. She fought for me. She was just like, this child, this girl child, is not gonna be displaced in this dangerous city, let's just put it that way, because obviously it was dangerous for me because I don't know anyone. And she said I could be prey to anyone, you know, any of maybe the guys or whoever would say to me, okay, come, I'll give you a place, and then I'll be misplaced, and no one will know what happened to me or what will happen to me in that situation. So she was like, no, we're gonna sleep having found you a room tonight. And unfortunately, we fought a losing battle that day. Honestly, we did not get a res, and they closed. They said, I think it was 4:30. They said our offices are closing. Bouncers literally threw us out. They were like, go, 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 you know, and there's lines. Remember, when students, you know, there's stampedes and whatever. Fortunately for us, there wasn't one at that time, because I think at CPUT, I don't know if it works like that in other institutions as well. They had they I don't want to say grade, but they had like a step-to-step thingy to say they first start with the first years, place them first, and then, you know, the other people that are returning will come back. So it's not like everyone coming back at the same time. And I think that situation helped. So, but we were thrown out, and this girl was so stressed out for us. She took us to the SRC office, and she told them, she said, this child does not have a place to stay, and I'm not going anywhere, and no one is going anywhere if this learner or if the student does not have a place to stay. So luckily for me, she really fought for me, you guys. And you know, eventually, literally, she said, I could have sworn she held the SRC head hostage. She said, you are not going anywhere. I remember the guy was not a student. He worked in the bigger university offices, but I think he was the one that was in charge of the SRC and the res department. I don't know, but you know, when God, you know, puts things and people in your way to fight for, because honestly, we did not even have to fight. I did not even have to fight my own battles. That girl fought everything for me. The only thing I had to do was follow her around with my suitcases, you know. And she said, and this guy was like, he was so frustrated. He was like, I have a family to go to, I have, you know, a wife and kids to go to. And he said, you're gonna be safe with your wife and kids there, and then where's this learner gonna stay? Nope, no sir, we're staying here until you make a plan for this student. So then this guy makes a few phone calls, and then he says, okay, you can stay at, no, he said that he would make a plan, but he would not sleep that night without making a plan. So this girl says, you know what, because you guys are not safe, come with me. Okay, I'm gonna take you guys to my raid. So we walk, first time taking a walk through town, and she's telling me, no, hide your phone, do this. She was just giving me tips about Cape Town, you know, don't listen to guys and whatever. And the one thing she said to me that I still remember till today, and that I, you know, resonate with, what that I feel that other students, you know, could be given such advice. She said to me, you know what, can you see that I'm helping you? And can you see how much I'm helping you? I'm going to the depths for you. I don't know you. I only met you today. And can I not be disappointed? Can I really not be disappointed in you? I don't want you now to find you gallivanting with boys, because the reason what I'm doing this, I'm saving you from sharks and boys and, you know, all these anyone that, because I know these people, you know, they take advantages of new students, and you just a girl, you innocent, you come from Johannesburg, you're not even from here, you don't have family, you don't have anyone. They take advantage of people like that. So because I don't want you to go through that, I'm making the sacrifice. So I don't want to run into you now here at school, having found out that you've went rogue, you're attending parties, you're not studying, you know. I want you to go home with what you came here for, which is your diploma. Don't disappoint myself, don't disappoint your mom, because you can also see she could also be elsewhere doing her other things, but she's here running up and down for you and with you. So don't disappoint me. I'm doing this for you so that you can, the only way you can pay me back is for you to have your diploma by the time you leave CPUT. Oh my goodness. And she even said, because my mom was like, how can we repay you? Oh my gosh, we don't deserve you helping us like this. And she said, the only payback I want is for you to graduate and leave this place. So we went to her res, and then she said to me, guys, you know, this place is too small, there's 3 of you, because now we had a carry bag. Now there was a classmate of mine who later became my friend, who also was in the same situation as me, so who also needed help, and then she just took all of us. She just happened to just ride the wagon. So now people thought that my mom had two daughters, so we were just all going together. So she said, guys, it's a single room, I only have 1 bed, I really cannot house all of you 3 guys, you know, so honestly I need to make a plan. And then we were sitting there. I remember that day she said, you can go take a shower and relax. I took a shower for the first time. I was so tired. She bought us food. Obviously we all just contributed towards the food, and we ate. And I remember I slept. Whilst I was sleeping, my mom was working on her deadlines, and then the girl was just talking on her phone the whole time, trying to arrange for me to get to someone who would officially get rest for me. My mom was even saying, can't you just let it rest, we'll go to. She said, if I let it rest, they will not pay attention to her tomorrow. So right now I'm telling them that we are still outside CPUT. I have a student, and I don't know where she's going to sleep, and I can't house her in my res also because it's squatting and it's against the rules. So I need her to go and be found room, because if we rest it, then they'll say, Amos, yesterday she made a plan, she'll make another one tomorrow. So she emphasized and she insisted, and around 9 p.m. that's when she got up. She said, I found you guys, you know, something. But it was not an official res still, it was just somewhere for us to sleep for that night. It was a boys' res. They said it's empty and it's for the older guys, you guys can sleep there. We're sleeping there, no sheets, nothing. My mom only got me that duvet with the pillow. So the girl brought us some blankets and whatever. We covered ourselves in those naked beds and we slept. The next morning she said, don't even sleep in, don't even wait for it to be, because they open at 9, don't even wait for it to be 9, just at 7 make sure you're there. So at 6 we were up, 7 we were there standing, we were the first in lines when they opened. We stood there. It also took us the whole day. I only got res that day at around 3 p.m. after, like I said, they had placed all the other people and they were sure and whatever, and then because she was not willing to let it go, she said stay here. Then I eventually got res. So it was a very stressful period. I remember there was a moment where my mom and I were literally just sitting on the pavement at CPUT eating bananas with no solution, with no plan. We had not even budgeted for it. We did not even have money maybe to say, okay, maybe for the first month you'll sleep at the hotel or stay at a lodge or have a cousin to go to. We were just distraught. So we're just waiting, and we prayed to God, and God brought us this lady, and I was saved like that. And soon after that, my mom had to board a bus that same evening, because she also did not have the option of booking a hotel, staying there and whatever. So she just boarded a bus that same evening and she left. After that, you know, I was just left, you know, to fend for myself, Baba. And I'm not gonna go too much and too deep into my experiences this first year. All I can just say is that my first year was the nicest. I lived my best life, guys. You know how they say when you are a child and you've been at home for a long time, and then you are let go, you are free, you go rogue. I was not even in that sense of, you know, I don't know, being wild, the wildest child ever in life, but I lived, okay? I was just free. But also it was hard because I had to figure my everything out, you know. So now I speak to my mom and I say, Mom, Bella, I've registered, I have to come back, I have a room now. My mom said, nah, stay, you'll come back when you close for the term. I was like, what? I felt so betrayed. Guys, parents will backstab you, son. But anyway, it was fun. So I forgave everything else that I needed, pots, everything. My mom would send me money. I remember I got a fridge first week when I was there, and I was privileged for even having a fridge. I know people that finished without having a fridge. I still, you know, I'm whining about the fact that I finished varsity without having a microwave, but am I dead? No, I'm alive and I survived it. And yeah, so first year went through, I had fun. I got sick in first year. I got very sick, like so sick that my mom, by the time it was time for me to write June exams, my mom said, you know what, don't even write the exams, just come back home, because she was no longer coping. She has a child that's in hospital, you know, far away from her. There's no one to go visit her. There's like, it was just a lot. And especially because I was still too young. I mean, obviously I'm still a baby, guys, first year. So she was really stressed out about that. But I told her, I remember when she said I must quit, and then I felt to myself, no, but I'm not a quitter. So I pushed to at least finish exams and then went back home. And then when I went back home for June holidays, she then took me, you know, to specialists and whatever, and I got the help that I kind of needed. And then I went back, and then things at least got better from there. I still struggled from time to time, but yay. And guys, you see that mischief that I got up to in grade 9, I found myself within again in first year. Fees must fall, eat right, guys. Okay, no, but honestly, but Fees Must Fall happened during when I was 2015 in my first year. I remember some people even saw me on TV because there was a point where I was in front and leading with my voice. You know, they said they heard me in the crowd and they said, this girl, you know, this girl can sing, take her to the front. And I went to the front and I didn't even know the songs, and now I was number 1 and we were there, Sana. Honestly, when I said I live my best life, those are the type of things I'm referring to. Don't even think I'm referring to serious things. That no, that was just that, you know. I remember they announced during my first year that you know, the fees, they were no longer gonna, why were we even fighting for fees must fall? You know, free education, but something like, I don't know, I think the minister back then wanted to increase fees for learners and whatever, so we were fighting against that increase. And then I remember that they reached a decision in parliament to say, okay, they're gonna cancel that fee increment thingamabob. And I was in a train, we were riding trains for free, and I was there, you know. And I remember the train coming back when they had now cancelled the increment and whatever. Like, it was so much fun. Like, you guys, please go to school, please go to varsity, and when you're there, please make sure that you live your best life. Because my mom would call me and be like, Yawana, like, why am I singing in videos and whatever, and I was just like, girl. And my mom was just literally rebuking me, but from how many miles away? There's no belt that's gonna come and beat me here. So I was just going, you know. And she, at some point, she would laugh, but there were points where it got serious, where now the fee increment is no longer gonna happen. But now the students are fighting now for free education. They want all our fees to be scraped. That one got big. That's where the looting started to happen, and now we were forced out of res by other students who no longer wanted to study. So they would take us out of res with like fire extinguishers, and now it got so bad, it got so horrible. I remember for my end of my first year, we ended up going home not having finished exams. I remember because we started early in our course, so around October-ish would be done with exams. So I remember we were left with, I think, physics and chemistry, or just physics or whatever to write. But other courses had not even started writing in October. They had not written any paper. They had to come back and write the next January. Some of them, so with us, for instance, they gave us like assignments that we could do at home and pass them, but we did not pass using exams. So that's how it got like so bad, and it got so scary. I remember I was panicking, and I remember my friends who thought I was dramatic. My friends always thought I was dramatic because I was such a baby, guys. I was a baby. Like, my friends firstly would judge me that I'd wanna go home all holidays. So normally people went only during June and December holidays because home was far. A lot of people stayed in Joburg, not a lot, but others stayed in Eastern Cape, Joburg, you know, different provinces, and so they felt like the fees and whatever was a lot to travel. My mom, I always interested in going home, and they would like give me side eyes. So even when the strikes came and I got so scared because I'm naturally a panicker, I told my mom, I was like, I'm not surviving here. And my mom said, my child, I'm booking you a bus, come back home, and come back home now. So the other students, like my friends, gave me a side eye that I'm being dramatic about this whole thing, but they also ended up going home because things got bad, child, at rates, especially for us who were staying at rates, because we were susceptible. Because there was a time where we were told through the res intercom, they said to us, go out, everyone just go out, there's a whole crowd coming here, coming to attack us. So if they find you in your rooms, they will hurt you. So rather go out and gallivant the town. I remember that day we left in the morning without having really bathed or showered or eaten or whatever, and we were in the street. That's when I called my mama. I was like, I can't live like this. And then she said, come back home, my child, so that you're safe. And fortunately for me, there was no need for me to go back to school, because then they gave us these assignments, because they further discovered that a lot of people ended up going home because it was not safe at the reses. So yeah, that was just a nutshell of my first year. In terms of academics, hey, let me talk about academics. Going at this sister, this lady only likes nice stuff. Academics were tricky. In first year, I was studying, like I said, things I didn't know, but I did well, passed with a few distinctions. And then second year, I got this lovely roommate. At first, I didn't understand her, to be quite honest, but eventually my roommate was doing events. She was studying events coordinator, or what do they call the actual events management, I think. And they'd go to nice things, you know, they'd go to your Cape Town jazz festival, you know, the Boca fashion and film festival, and things like that. So one day she said, you know what, I'm working. So what they would do is, because they need experience, much like ourselves, we'd go to the municipalities to gain our experience, since it was a university of technology. She then would also go to, like, they'd get experience planning these events, and like maybe being ushers at this event, like working in these events, so as to gain experience as well. So then they would then give them like you get a pass for like being like a +1 type of vibe. So she said, since you're my roommate and you're the only one that I really know, here's a ticket, you know, let's go to this event. But then she obviously would have to like dress up in uniform and whatever, and then I got to be, you know, the glamorous one. So I'll go to this event this one time, and I have the time of my life. I post on social media, and then upon posting on social media, there's this other lady that then discovered me on social media. She says to me, oh, by the way, you know, like when I say God, it's like we make plans, you know, but God is the one that sees them into fruition, and he's the one that makes sure that they succeed, and also according to his will and purpose for you. Because I was just chilling, I just posted stuff on Instagram, and this lady just comes to me and she says, and the reason why I personally see it as a blessing is because it was a blessing in my life. It made me feel so fulfilled, and I enjoyed a lot while doing it, you know. And she comes to me and she says, I saw that you know, via the hashtags, I saw that you went to this festival. Who are you? Why were you there? What do you do? You know, she just was interested in getting to know me better. So I told her, I'm like, no, my friend is an events student, so she just, you know, gave me a ticket to go there. So, and she said, no, but you look very nice, and you know, my friend and I started a blog, and we're interested in having someone to join us, so please come and be part of our blog. So our blog was then called Sin Vicariously. I loved it so much. So what we would do, you know what vicariously means, right? Where you live vicariously through someone. Like so for instance, if I was gonna take a trip to London right now, you guys would live vicariously through me, because you would see all the things I'm doing, and then you'd experience London with me. More like vlogging type of thing, but we were then blogging at the time. So and also the concept of Sin Vicariously, I loved it so much. I still love it to date. And I think I've mentioned my friend Kim in the beginning of the video. I didn't really mention her name, but I did say that she studied drama and law, so that was what Sin Vicariously was about as well, to say you can take your academic and more professional side and mix it with your artistic side to, like, you can basically merge them. They don't have to be, you know, mutually exclusive. You can make one thing into it. So she was interested in like sharing her journey, but also showing that law can be fun. So she's still doing that. She's still vlogging. She still has, you know, her pages on social media where she's showing it's okay, yes, I'm in law, but you know, I dress up. There's fashion in law. There's all of these things. So she said to me also, yeah, so you're studying environmental health, yes, but you can explore, you know, yourself as like you know, a writer and, you know, a content creator, and then you bring those together and we, you know, put all this information in this into this blog. So by virtue of being a part of this blog, I then got to experience Cape Town, you know, in greater levels that I probably never would have ever experienced if I did not meet my second year roommate, if via meeting her I did not go to that event and then meet this friend of mine that way we were doing a blog together. Because from there on, she had a bit of like, because she was already in corporates, well, she was still doing her articles type of thing, but she already knew, you know, a few people. And her other friend, who was also our other friend, Nathan, was part of the blog, and he was in the space. He was already in like PR marketing. He was doing all those things, you know, with all the celebrities and all of that. So because they had the access, then they just string me along. I was just the last born that was just like being strung along. And then Kim was like, okay, what can you do for us, you know? And we were honestly working towards me maybe doing and studying copywriting, so that then I could help in terms of like, you know, copywriting the content for the blog and all of that. Obviously, you know, all of that did not come to fruition because I then finished my studies and then I was no longer situated in Cape Town and I had to come back to Joburg. But I had the time of my life. I was attending your fashion festivals now, and it was no longer now on account of my lady friend here, my res mate, but it was just me, you know, it was just me doing it and with them, my fellow bloggers. So we'd write blogs, you know, we launched it, we'd release our blogs weekly and things like that. And I found myself going to what do you call this, castings now, because I was getting, you know, castings for being a model. I was getting castings for like being basically what I would call a brand influencer back in the day. But because I did not know what influencing was back in the day, I didn't know that, like, I honestly did not know that is what it was. So I just went through it. I remember I did and a promotion for Impulse. The video is still here on YouTube. Maybe I should just link it below here so you can see the type of things that I'm talking about. And it now became a yearly thing where they not a yearly thing, but like a routine thing to say when they have these things. Because what they normally would do back then, I don't know if it still works like that right now, they'd have a media list. So once they add you to their media list and say, okay, this blog or whatever is part of our media personnel, whenever there's an event or whatever, they just send you the mail, you know, you're on their mailing list. So whenever they're taking out invites, they just need to RSVP. So I just RSVP for the event. Sometimes I'd go with my fellow bloggers. Sometimes they say, we are busy, you know, are you free on that night? Go alone. So I was attending fashion shows. I was going to art galleries. I remember the other time we went to it was a distillery, you know, wine farms. We have photo shoots. We would now promote clothing for, you know, other, you know, clothing brands, upcoming clothing brands that wanted to be out there. I remember it carried on until even when I came back to Joburg, because then she'd say, you know, there's this brand that also wants to be a part of our blog, but they now in that Joburg side. Are you able to, you know, pull up in Santon and just, you know, capture the content for us? So that's what I would do. But eventually, because of distance and all of that, you know, it died down. But that was just a career I enjoyed doing. And then on top of that, I found a very, very beautiful church family where I was singing, with a singing group. Love them so much. They still my friends till today, who also just gave me the feeling of being involved and included and being in family and people that you can fellowship with, and share in Christ with. So yeah, so one of my mates would then ask me, why are you like studying environmental health, because you're doing all these things, all sorts of things. And I think the reason why he was posing this question is because I was, I'd come back clammed up, I'd come to rehearsal clammed up because I come from shooting, or also they heard that I did radio as well, so I was on CPUT radio. And how that came to happen was a friend of mine, Tando, saw a post on the CPUT FM page that said, here there are auditions for radio. And then she said to me, she tagged me and she said, my friend, if you're not gonna go to this audition, I'm gonna drag you there, so you'd better go. Okay, so then I said, okay, fine. So I went there as a favor for her, not a favor per se, but like, as when you were persuaded to do something. Yes, so I went there with that attitude to say, Tanda said I must go for it, but I also took interest. So I went there and I auditioned, and I got the gig. It was a bit trickier with CPUT radio because they do not have their own like unique frequency where maybe you can also listen from your car or from at home. It was only broadcast across CPUT campuses, I think, and also, so it was not all that big yet. It was not like like maybe your UJFMs where like some of the very famous radio broadcasters we know today would started and then they would advance in their careers then. So it started, they ended there, we were not getting paid, there was no stipend. I was literally doing it from my heart, for the love of it. They'd say to us, okay, based on your schedule, when are you free, when are you available to come, and then we'd take slots like that. So whenever I was free, I would just pop into studio and do a show, and we had dreams of bringing celebrities, doing this and that, but also that was like some sort of deadline, just we did not ended up not pursuing it. But I enjoyed it. I think I did it for like around 8 to 9 months, so it was quite the while. I enjoyed my shows so much. I used to prepare for them because I'm a person that loves being prepared, and I'd just give my friends shout outs on campus and whatever. And so they'd also ask me, they say, you're doing all these things, you singing at church, you doing radio, you're a blogger, but you're studying environmental health, like how is that a thing? So for me, that I got that question a lot, because they'd say, oh, we really didn't even think that in that you were like in that field. So that's a question that I'd always get to say, but how? And then I'd answer though and say, I still love environmental health because it also embodies a part of me, which is literally keeping the environment clean and neat. I like that, and instilling law, like I said previously. So I also really do like that. So I didn't hate it, and that is where Kim would then come in with her chat to say, you don't have to choose either or, you can do both, you can combine them and find yourself in both spaces. So that's how I just navigated life, going through to there. And then when so this carried on till my third year, and then like I said previously, my third year, when I got to my third year, how I said I was not registered, so I went onto the website HPCSA, because I needed to check if I was there, because they just you tell us that if you're studying as a practitioner, you're supposed to be registered with HPCSA. And because we had to apply for community service, I took interest and said, okay, let me just check and see if I actually am in the website. Like if I can encourage someone and say I'm an environmental health practitioner, and then they decide to check me out or search me up, they need to find me in that website. I search for myself and I am just not there. What's happening? Then I go to ask, then I ask my friend, Lo, who I said she ended up studying medicine. She ended up doing medicine at Sifako, which is former known as Medunza in Pretoria. So I asked her for, I actually asked her if I could search her, and she said yes. And then I searched her and I find her. And I'm like, we both started studying in the same year. So surely if I was registered, then I'm supposed to be reflecting as well. And then she's there but I'm not. And then I'm like, okay, cool, let me ask my classmates, because those are the closest people to me, we are in the same environment, okay? And then I ask my classmates, and then we start checking ourselves, and we are not there. My goodness. So it was a stressful period. I went to our lecturer. I get there and I say, sir, why are we not registered? Like, why are we not reflecting online? And then only then, when we are in our third year, this is something that was supposed to be done in our first year, he then says to me, oh, you guys didn't know, things didn't go well with your guys's what do you call it, registrations. I think in terms of, I don't know if it was something when there was a post office strike or whatever in first year, something happened, but our registrations could not get to Pretoria. But all this while they knew, and they did not tell us that, okay, something went wrong, something happened, or do it individually, like, you know, by yourself. We can no longer do it for you as an institution because we're experiencing this and this and this problem. They just left it hanging. And then yeah, so they tell us that they tell us that they're like, you didn't know. I'm like, we didn't know because no one told us. And it's not even a matter of I maybe didn't know as an individual, the whole class just didn't know. So it started being a whole thing. And then that's where I also went in front. I told you guys, when there is a strike, well, we were not striking at that point, but I was like a representative, you know, a member of the union of that embu that wants to find themselves registered, because then we need to be doing our community service the following year. And we went forward with the issue and found that no, actually we were not registered, and we had to start afresh. And I was helping my friends, and we were all just talking about it. We were all just angry. I know I was angry. I was so angry. And then but we worked around it, and eventually we were registered. But now I think it took a while that we all of us in that year or in that class could not be able to register for our community service for the following year. So in the next year, which was now 2018, we all came back to do our BTech. Okay, so like me, for myself, doing a BTech was not in my plans. And I think once more, I don't know if I was deceived by my mom this time again, or maybe she just convinced me. I think she just managed to convince me to say, my child, you can't just stay at home. So I guess my mom really does not want anyone who sits idle. She said to me, you can't stay at home, so rather go back to school and do your BTech. You know, it's also not like, it's no harm done, you know, whilst you wait to fix this whole issue. So I went back for my BTech. My BTech was a bittersweet year, especially at the beginning of the year, because at the beginning of the year, I really did feel like, so with my BTech, we were not attending. We were, yes, full-time BTech students, but we were not attending full-time. So I used to, when I was doing my diploma, our classes were from 8:30 till 4:30, Monday to Friday. We'd just have lunch in between, I think at 1:30 or so till 2:30, and then from 2:30 to 4:30. So that had been my life for 3 years. And then now in BTech, we only attend Tuesdays and Thursdays, and okay, then the whole day from 8:30 to 4:30. So the other days I was literally free. So where I reached my, like, what I decided to do about that, I was like, you know what, I wanted to pass. So what the point I did not mention is that I did not pass my matric well. I did not pass my matric the way I had anticipated or I would have liked to. I think in matric I really did not have goals, like set, like straight goals to say, okay, I want 7 distinctions or whatever, but I wanted to pass well. I knew in the subjects where I would perform well, I wanted to get distinctions, but I didn't, and it was not a nice feeling for me. And I think where, you know, it goes wrong is that thing of where, for me personally, during exams I get sick, guys, and I sick to such an extent, like I need a specialist type of sick, you know. So when I eventually got to varsity, and it happened like that, my friend, who is now a doctor but who was also studying medicine back in the day, she said, this happens to you a lot. Like, since I've known you, whenever we're about to write exams, you get sick, and like badly, you know. So what's the issue? You know, what happens with you? So the same thing happened to me in matric as well. I was really not well when we were writing, you know, exams, not only finals but exams in general. So in first year that happened as well. I got better as time grew, but so I was not happy with my results, and then I was really sure that I was gonna make up for it in varsity. But when I got my diploma, yes, I got distinctions, but they were not enough to get me distinction, like to say you passed, graduated with distinction or with cum laude. My heart was so broken, like when I also graduated for my diploma, because I was happy, I was glad, because this was a great achievement, but I had not exonerated myself, you know. I had not, that thing where I wanted to get to, I hadn't gotten there. I had not reached my goal, basically. So I saw it as a second chance to say, okay, my BTech, and there's time now. So on my BTech, I took all of that time and I invested it in my books. I was studying, I was reading. It was just different, you know. And in my head I was like, okay, I don't have the excuse, I have the free time, but instead of just chilling and doing whatever else, let me be studying. I was at the library. If I was not at the library, I was at the lecturer's office, because I would go there and I would ask him, anyone, for help, you know. I remember, even like I said, I don't know where I said this, to say even my fellow classmates were even asking me to say, girl, what happened to you this year? Like, why are you, because I was coming with your 90s in class and whatever. So it was great. So what I loved about my BTech is that I got to exonerate myself. I was so happy about that. It was a dream I had achieved. And because I was so free, I started really feeling, I don't want to call it depression, but I was not happy. Like on the days where I was free and I was idling, I did not know what to do, I really felt bad. I really felt an empty space. So I really wanted something. So because I knew that, okay, time was going to come and I'm going to graduate out of school. And I knew very well that I'm not going to school for my master's and I wanted nothing to do with, by the time I was done, I wanted nothing to do with res. I wanted nothing to do with school. I was up to here. So because I knew that, I was like, I need to start getting a job. So for the other half of the year, I was just looking for a job, like seriously looking. And it got so bad where I would just walk along carrying my CV in my bag, in my school bag. And I remember that one day I was at a mall, and then there was a place that was written NYDA, and it had youth development in it, and I was just like, what's happening here? And I've discovered that place because it was so hidden in the mall. You know how in the mall, like, offices are not in your face as much as like all the other stops and all the other shops and whatever. So I saw that, I was going to the bathroom, and when I came out of the bathroom, yay, there's a place that has youth development in it, let me go in there and see what's happening. And when I got there, it was what do you call it, it was NYDA. And then I said to them, I would like to just drop off my CV. And then they said, for what job or whatever? I said, I'm just dropping it off, you know, by faith. Honestly, that's what I said. I said, whenever, if there's something, I don't know what you guys do here, but I'm a youth and I want to do something. And at that point, I was even like, even if it's volunteering or helping other youth or whatever, just put me in. I want to do something. I'm tired of sitting at home, because obviously I'm still being helped at home with an allowance and whatever. So I'm not really like dying, but I really wanted to be doing something else, you know, outside of just sitting at res and school only. So they said, okay. So the next time I go to the mall, I go to them again and I said, I dropped off my CV here, you know, I dropped it off and I'm following up. But they're like, okay, but it was for which post and whatever. I said there was no specific or particular post, but I dropped it off and I would like to follow up as to what's happening with my CV. And I got this other granny who was so nice to me. He said, no, you need to know what happened, you know, with your CV. Come, let me ask around. And then she asked and no one knew where my CV was. And she said, do you have another copy? I'm like, I didn't carry it today. Don't you have it in your emails on your stick? I'm like, I have it on my stick. Then she says, come, let me print it for you. And then she made me copies and copies of my CVs. She even made it in color, I remember. And she said, yeah, other copies, just go and put your CV in other places, but I'm gonna keep this one. And whenever there's something now, personally, I'm going to, you know, you're gonna be there. And then on a random Thursday, I get a phone call, like months later. I think I submitted my CV in July. In September, I get a phone call. They like, I was speaking to this person, and I'm like, yes. And then they say, we would like to invite you for an interview tomorrow. I'm like, what? They're like, yes. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And yeah, that's, I was not feeling well. I remember I was very sick. It was change of season-ish, because it was literally like just after August, like beginning of September, because I remember I started working at that place on the 5th, if not the 6th of September 2018. So in that week, I was just not feeling well. I was, and I was panicking now, because I'm a panicker once more, and I don't know what to prepare. I don't even know which job I'm being called for. Okay, they kind of told me, but I really don't have an idea. It's not something I studied for. It's just, my friends encouraged me at Raise. I had a very beautiful Raise family, guys. They were always so there for me, and they knew the type of person that I was, and they understood me. So they always encouraged me and said, no, man, relax. My friend said, relax, and you're gonna get, you're good. You're gonna get this. And I'm like, how is this person managing to have so much faith in me when I didn't? I had faith, but I was scared. I think my anxiety superseded my faith, but I still prayed. And as a result, I did not even prepare for that interview, because I really did not know what to prepare. I just prepared your normal, basic, like, tell us about yourself type of questions. And that was it. I was like, anything else? Then day of the interview comes, sana ishapile karing. I looked good on that day, but I looked sick. My eyes were puffy because of the flu and everything. I was not feeling well. I was dragging myself there. A part of me even felt like not going, but I was like, I'm gonna miss out on this opportunity. So I dragged myself, and I made it to the interview, and I was so quiet. I remember when we got there were ladies speaking to one another. They were helping each other with tips. I've never been one to like that. I've never been one to discuss an exam before or after. I'm not that type of person. Or maybe I'll give interview tips. So I get so frustrated that I just want to sit and be quiet and wait for it and do it in Jule and go out. I'm not the type where will be like, what do you guys think they're gonna ask? Let's prepare for this question. No. I just like to be in my own corner and meditate and have my own husa. Went there, they called my name. We stayed there for a while. I remember I was supposed to get my interview at 9 or 11 or whatever. I think at 11, and I only got into the interview room at 1, because they delayed. They first waited for everyone to be there and whatever. So it was just the whole thing. But I got there. I was hungry by the time I had to go in. I'm sick. It's cold. I'm still waiting, wearing a winter coat with fur. But I go in there, and there's this panel. And they asked the questions, so it was just administrative questions, because I was gonna be doing admin. But they asked me about things, the things that I was doing, the blogging and everything else that I was doing. Those are the type of things I told them about myself, because they would ask, like, for instance, I was working for, it was an NSFAS gig where you had to promote basically for learners or students to register for NSFAS. I mean, that's a need already. So they would just ask me questions like, how are you going to ensure that this information goes out there, it reaches other learners outside of your work, like an office? I was like, I'm on radio, I'll broadcast it there. I have Instagram pages, I'm a blogger. I told them that, and so those type of things, they helped. And I just told them, and I told them, and I told them I'm a student, I can relate to students, so even when they ask me things and whatever, I'll be patient with them, because I understand their frustrations. I just told them all sorts of things, you guys, and they were writing, and their faces were so serious. I knew I nailed it, but I also felt, because they did not give me any reaction whatsoever, I was like, Mara, did I get it? And I think the Tuesday thereafter, they then called me and said, you got the job. You're starting, I don't know, tomorrow or whenever, but they just said, come. I enjoyed that job so much. It was my first job, and it was my first time like receiving those amounts of money, and it was not based on who you are, what you do, how your life is and whatever. It probably was, it's nothing to you, but for me, 6,000 rand starting salary as a student, instead of just the 1,000 rand I would get from home. and now I have 7,000 rands. Guys, it was a party. It was a party. Oh, you know, I gained weight. Like, I was this big. By the time my mom came to my graduation December of that year, I had only worked 2 months. But she said, yo, Dana, the first thing she saw, she said, Utanda imali. How are you this big? I never even knew you to have hips. Una lady hips wena. And again na oh kadi hipsy, didi weave daddy tadi king 24-inch. I was paying. Mamela, you see, I did not deprive myself, guys. Shem, in that job, I think it's the only job that I've ever worked where I did not deprive myself. What I wanted, I bought. I had takeaways for breakfast, lunch, and supper. And luckily for me, then my health was not even deteriorating anymore. Money brings happiness and it solves problems. That was me, and I was with him. Luna. 6,000 rand, the one that might not be anything to you, but to me, child, I promise you. So yeah, that was my first job. Lovely. I worked with these beautiful colleagues. There were people that were older. I've always found myself in situations where everyone is just older than me everywhere. Even there, I was the youngest one, but my colleagues were so nice. They were so kind. We got to be best friends. I'm still, you know, one of them is still like my very, like, a close friend of mine that I love so much. And yeah, that's what happened. It was a contract for 5 months. It ended the following year. But no, it was 4 months because I did it for September, October, November, December, and Jan. Yes, so it was 5 months. Jan, it finished. So I just went back in January 2019 to Cape Town just to finish off that gig, get my last pay, and then I was out of Cape Town. Unfortunately for me, because I tried to stay to squat somewhere for a month, but that was not working out because then guys, I promise you guys, I'm a panicker. So I just felt like, oh my gosh, they're gonna catch me and whatever. I was no longer comfortable and I was just really living in fear. So I just said to my mom, you know what, because I told my mom that, you know what, I'm gonna stay to Cape Town for a few months, in Cape Town for a few months, and see if I can't secure a job this side, and then there would no longer be a need to come back home, because I enjoyed Cape Town so much. I did not want to come back to Gauteng or to Joburg. I wanted to stay there like forever, but things did not work out in that regard. In February, I was just like, I'm going home. I have a home, a comfortable bed, and not that I was not comfortable where I was, but in terms of the bed or whatever, but in terms of like the staying, I was not free. I was stealing uklala, like I was stealing. So I was very uncomfortable, and I was sharing, and I was just like, let me come back home. At home, my mother's house, I can't say my father's house, my mother's house is waiting for me. In my mother's house are many rooms, child. You know, I shall not hunger in a desert land. So I then decided to just come back home to Joburg. This is where I'm gonna end the story time here today. It took forever, and I still have quite a few points to share, so I'm just gonna start a new video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. Please do not forget to subscribe if you watched and enjoyed this video. Even if maybe you didn't, you might still enjoy the past videos or videos to come. So please do subscribe, like the video, share the content with anyone that feels that you feel needs, you know, or would enjoy the video. And to show that you've watched until this far, please leave you know, the pink heart, and then there's that little one. That's my favorite, one of my favorite emojis. The little heart with the partner there, with the best friend on top. Please leave that heart and a purple one. And I will see you on another video next week. Love you. Bye.